Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of What Has Changed Your Life. So, imagine you get fired from your job, you get pregnant. What do you do? What do you do? Well, my guest tonight decided to start her own business at that time. And now she spends her life helping other people become solopreneurs. Welcome, Tammy, to this episode of What Has Changed Your Life.
Well, I'm very glad to be here, Tracy.
So, okay, you get fired from your job.
Mm-hmm.
You're pregnant.
Well, I got pregnant shortly after I started my business. It wasn't right there, but it wasn't far off. So it made life way more challenging because it's like, let's just pile it all on.
Yeah. Go big or go home.
Yeah,
right?
Go big or go home.
But how did you not freak out in terms of all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got this business idea. I'm going to just go with it. And yeah, I don't have another, because a lot of people, that is their biggest fear, is taking that leap to doing something completely outside of the norm.
Well, that's why it was actually like my being fired was one of the best blessings ever, because it would have been a few more years before I had worked up enough of the courage to do it on my own. And it wasn't like a spur of the moment decision. It was a spur of the moment that we made the decision. But
Right.
I've been having people pushing me to do it for years, and I kept putting it off. And I was very much raised that you go to school, you work hard, you get a good job, you stay there till you die.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. And I hated where I was. I was so miserable. It was all I could do to haul myself into work every day and not throw my boss through a plate glass window. But I was already interviewing for other jobs. I put the word out because I had a very good and strong reputation in my industry. And if it had been like one more week, I would have been gone anyways. And then I got called into his office and he fired me. And rather than being upset, I felt like there's this huge weight being lifted off of my shoulders. And I'm going, I'm free. I never have to work for another creepy, incompetent old man again.
Woo!
and it was a wonderful feeling. And then I had to come home and tell my husband, and worse yet, I had to tell my mother.
Right? Because we're so concerned about what other people, like, what does it mean for everyone else? Not necessarily our first thought is, what does it mean for me? It's usually, what does it mean for the other people around me? My husband, my kids, my family. What does that look like?
And at least I was fortunate enough that we didn't have our kids yet. It was just me and my husband and that. But there were so many things that went in with making that decision. And one of the things is my husband and I, we were starting to talk about starting our family. And one of the things was, I don't want to have to get my kid up out of bed at 5:30 in the morning so I can drop them off at a day home or a daycare, and I can be working all day, and then I can pick them up at night, see them for a teeny little bit, and then they're asleep, and I'm going to miss all like the first steps and the first words and all of that. And I'm going, I don't want to do that. And I'm going, if I have a job that just over broke, that is going to be my life and all of this stuff. So when I was fired, I'm going, you know what? That was the push that I needed to go forward and make the decision to start my business.
What advice would you give to women who are staying in jobs which they don't like? It's toxic. It's a terrible environment. What advice would you give to them?
Start planning your exit. One of the reasons why I do what I do. So I'm the hold your hand and kick your ass business coach. And I work with small businesses as early in their journey as possible, preferably idea stage up to 2 years, because that's where the learning curve is like straight up. That's where most businesses fail. That's where they have to, they jump into the arena and they start doing things. And unfortunately, most fail. And I'm fortunate, like I was doing pretty good because when I started my business, I had a much, much stronger foundation of how to run a business than most, but there was still so much stuff that I had to learn that was way more challenging. So I go, if I could go back and talk to me 1 year before that firing and go, okay, no, you're not going to be here forever. Here's the stuff that you need to be putting in place. So when this magic moment happens, you're not going, oh shit. You're going, thank you. We're ready to go.
Yep.
If you are not happy where you are, start putting together your plan. And if you want to start a business, because starting a business is not for everyone. I've been teaching a small business class for over 18 years. And I've had a few people, after we go through the weekend and we go over all the stuff, they've come up to me after the fact and say, now that I learn all the stuff that goes into it, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not cut out. I'm going, thank you. I would much rather have you invest one weekend in the money for the course to find out that this is not for you, rather than your life savings, your self-esteem, your self-worth, your family relationships, and all of that to crash and burn because it's not for you. And there's no shame in that. I would much rather. But if you want to start a business, let's start doing it while you have the options and the steady income. And in fact, it can be even more motivating because every time you're going through work and going, I hate that asshole, and why am I doing this crappy stuff? You're going, this is why I'm starting my business. This is why I'm doing this extra work so I can get out of here and be doing stuff. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, they wait until it just gets so bad that they either get fired or they blow up and quit. And then they have to start putting it all together. And that's so much harder. Like, yes, you can still do it, but I'm going, let's make it as painless
as possible. Yes. And I think people need to realize too, that when you're in a job, you can leave. There is that choice. And I think a lot of people don't feel like they have a choice. And then I've had a few clients say to me, but I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is all I've ever known. And I'm like, okay, let's look at things that your strengths. What are they?
Yep.
Right? Let's start with what you like and what you think you'd be good at. What marries your credentials with something else.
Well, and other ways, like that's wonderful. But I've also had people going, okay, what do you see out in the world that just drives you nuts? Like that just really, really irritates the bejesus out of you. If you could come up a way of fixing that.
That's a great way.
That's another way. Like there's so many different ways of looking at it. And one of the things that is so exciting, especially now, like I've talked, like we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of freaking COVID-19 shutting down the world for like 2 years. And I'm going, can you imagine if this had happened 15 years ago before we had like the internet connections and all the stuff that we do? There's so many people because of the apps and the internet connectivity and the different ways of doing things where we can start businesses and do things an awful lot better and faster and look more professional and things like that. I'm going, I've been running my business for over 20 years now. And I'm going, if I had to start now, oh my God, we're ready to go rather than having.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah. Rather than having to create everything in the hard way and all of this stuff. Like this is the time. And when I started my business and working from home, like they'd look at you like, are you serious about what you're doing? Like you can't, unless you're paying like overhead to a commercial landlord, which are like freaking Satan, you can't be a serious business. And then after a while, I'm working from home and people are going, how do you do that? Like you don't have, like my commute's downstairs. This is awesome. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And they're looking, how do I do this? And now everybody's been forced to come home to work and stuff like that. And people are going, I don't want to go back. And they're trying to figure out, how can I stay doing this? And some people are wanting to go back because it's like, oh man, and now I don't have to listen to the kids. I can go back to the office and have some peace and quiet. But there's so many different ways. It's not, you have this box and you have to fit into it. You create whatever bloody box you want.
Exactly. That's an awesome way of looking at it, because gone are the days where you stay in something forever, stay in one job forever, stay with the same company. These younger generation, especially coming up, they have created jobs that didn't even exist 15 years ago.
Well, they have to. I'm going, I'm a Gen Xer and I'm going, I haven't seen anybody. Yeah. They talk about like my mom worked at the same hospital for 42 years before she retired. That doesn't exist in our world. What did we grow up with? Downsizing, right-sizing, layoffs, outsourcing to India and Pakistan and the Philippines and everywhere else. And you're supposed to just, how is that supposed to work for most employees, especially the ones that had this fantasy that they're going to work for like a big multinational company and they're going to be safe and secure?
What is safe and secure these days? Does that exist?
It doesn't exist when you work for somebody else.
It doesn't exist.
Where 68% of the job growth is coming from small business, and small business means 10 employees and under. That means your solopreneurs, your small retail shops, your VAs, and the different ones that are doing that. Because all the multinationals do is jack up their prices, jack up their profits, pay it out to the C-suite, and screw everybody up. Screw their customers, screw their employees, screw the environment, screw everyone. The growth and the good stuff is coming from the little guys. Us.
Right. Which is why it's so important to support the little guys, support the local. If you can, do that, because that helps them grow. And in turn, most of those companies give back to their communities.
Well, and they're the ones that are spending the money in the communities, and they're the ones that are doing all of the stuff. We need to be looking after one, and you typically get better quality because they actually care.
Yes.
They care, because if you're a small business and you don't do a good job and you don't care about your people, that reputation is going to get everywhere. How many people have been ripped off by the Walmarts and the Amazons, but they think, well, they're the only game in town.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So let's say I have an idea and I think it's a great idea. I come to you, I say, Tammy, this is my idea. And you say, it's a fantastic idea. Let's do a business. Because I'm not making any money, because I'm starting this business, how do you go to turning it into something where you can make money and create this bigger business? Because that's a huge hiccup for a lot of people when they're starting out is, I'm not making any money. How do I get over that hurdle so that I can create income? So what advice would you give to people?
That's a huge loaded question. It's a good question. I'm going, okay, how can I break this down? Because I'm going, you're asking, how can I jump to the top of Mount Everest?
I know, right? I cut to the chase.
Like I said, it's a great question, but I'm going, it's so huge. So one of the first things that I do when I talk to people, because people will come to me with their ideas and stuff, and we get it all figured out. Okay, how do we do it? And then it kind of depends on, okay, well, what are the first steps that this person needs to do? So people will say, okay, well, I have this product or whatever. Okay, well, is there a way that we could be doing a prototype? Is there ways, is it stuff that you could be doing from home and let's test it out and put things together? Are you looking at putting together a consulting business or a VA business or a service business? It's there's so many different things, but you want to be I'd say that the first thing you want to be doing is, okay, you need to be surrounding yourself with some actual business people, because one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people do is they're getting their advice either solicited or typically not solicited from their broke ass friends and family who have never played in the small business arena at all. So they're not getting any good advice or anything. So one of the first things, and it's a very different world from when I started my business 20 years ago, because business coaching and stuff was pretty much in its infancy. There wasn't too much. Now everybody and their dog calls himself a business coach, which is really quite hilarious. But you want to be finding yourself somebody who can help you with the basics and keep you accountable and help you put together your plan and the steps and go through like that. And you also want to be connecting with some good networking groups that are filled with other small business people. Some of the best friendships and the best things that I have learned were from some very good networking groups that I found when I started my business. Because I go back and I'm going, the circle of friends that my husband and I socialized with when I was still an employee, and even the first few years of the first year to 2 years of my business, they were wonderful people. They still are. A lot of them are still my clients, and we talk, but now we talk about just the kids and that's about it. Because they're all employees. And I couldn't even speak that language anymore. Like what are you doing, Tammy? So I
Yeah.
talk about what's going on in my business and they look at me like I'm speaking Klingon.
Yep.
Where the people that I met at the networking and stuff, they're also in the small business arena. They're doing different businesses and stuff, but we're having a very different conversation and it's exciting and I'm learning different things and we're introducing people. Oh, you're having that problem. Well, I just solved that problem and you need to be doing this. And we'd share all of that stuff so that we would help one another. And you need to start, if you don't already have the habit of building up your business skills, you totally need to be doing that. Like, fortunately, like podcasting did not exist basically when I started.
No.
Like it started a few years after. But now podcasting is like absolutely blowing up. And there are so many amazing podcasts where you can get general business information. There's ones where you can get very, very specific based on what you want. I just did a podcast this afternoon where it was very, very industry specific. It's about nurses writing. Absolutely brilliant. So you can get into what is it, like my specific business or industry. I did a podcast with a gentleman a few weeks ago, and he has a general business podcast, but then he has a podcast he's been running for a few years where it's all about the business of renting tents. So you
shut up.
That's serious.
Wow.
Dead serious. And there's environmental, like whatever your business is, you could probably find some very specific stuff, but there's tons of really good business ones. Audiobooks, like I am a gigantic fan of Audible. I am
too.
Every single time when I go to the gym, which is typically 6 days a week. If I'm sitting at my desk and I'm just doing like paperwork or stuff where I don't have to be super mentally engaged, I will have an audiobook going on. And what do you need to be working on? Well, do I need to be working on marketing? Well, what type of marketing do I need to be working on? Do I need to be talking about my financials? Do I need to be talking about mindset or different? You can get those books, but you get into the habit of, okay, I need to be reading, I need to be listening to my audiobooks, and I need to be talking with and communicating with people that are playing the small business game, because your entire circle and way of looking at things will change. And while that's a little bit scary and sometimes a little bit depressing, it's amazing and wonderful, and how you will grow as a person, and it's magical.
That's awesome. I love it, because starting a business is so incredibly daunting, right? You know,
but it doesn't need to be.
But it doesn't need to be. And that's awesome, because I know when I started my first business, I was a fitness instructor. I still am. Started it in Kangoo jumps, which is a type of exercise, right? And I had never intended, and I've said this before in other podcasts, never intended to go out on my own and start my own business. I just thought I'd work for somebody, whatever. But circumstances, boom. Well, I learned so much of what worked and so much of what didn't work. And I kind of fumbled my way through the whole entire process. And you learn a lot too, that when you start to research what you're talking about. You have to, because you won't survive otherwise.
Well, and one of the biggest things is, and I have to get this through to people, because when you're an employee, everything is about don't make mistakes. You have to do it right. You can't take any risk. This is your job. Do it, like, no mistakes. When you are a business owner, it's ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
You have to pull the trigger. You have to do something. And then you go through and figure out, I train all my people to do an autopsy after absolutely everything. Sales calls, you put together a course, you're putting out a marketing piece, you're talking, whatever it is. Autopsy is 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? What do I want to try next time? And you just keep going, because one of the biggest things that holds people back is I don't know everything. I can't guarantee it's going to be perfect and flawless. Perfect and flawless doesn't freaking exist.
It doesn't exist.
And it never will exist. Your job is to put out your best and keep getting better. Little bit by little bit by little bit. You keep pulling that trigger. You keep going, okay, where was I good? Where was I off? What do I want to try next time? And you figure it out. You figure it out. You figure it out. And you keep going.
Yes.
But the
Yeah.
fear of perfectionism shuts down so many people, and the fear of failure. You want to succeed in business, fail faster and then
And
learn
fail
from it.
often.
Yeah, as often as you can. Try
Fail
something. What
often.
worked, what didn't, what do I want to try next time? Like there's been
Yes.
some things everybody goes, well, I didn't knock it out of the park in a home run the first time somebody threw a ball at me. Well, guess what? That's freaking life.
Yeah.
You get up there and
Yeah.
you keep swinging, and it's not just you're going to blindly keep swinging. That's why I said I'm big on the autopsy. What worked, what didn't, what do I want to try next time? 3 simple
Yeah.
questions, but that helps you evaluate going, okay. And you can also look at people say, okay, I need to do a website. That's pretty much a given in our world. Find other websites for people that are doing similar stuff, or even things that have nothing to do with you. What are things that you like about their website? What caught your eye? What are the things that drive you freaking nuts? One of the things
Yes.
pet peeve. If your
What
website
is it?
has the
Yeah.
video and I click it, I go into your website and it just automatically starts talking to me. Oh, I hate that. If I want to hear it,
Yeah.
I'll click on it to hear it. But if it just starts talking, I will X out of that freaking website so damn fast.
So fast. Okay, note to self. Does my website
But you go through it, you go, and I could be very much the odd person. And if that's
Yeah.
the case, I'm not your client. But you go,
Right.
what are the things that I like? What are the things that I don't like? How can I bring this in? And how can I do all this stuff? And like I said, people say, you're talking about, well, what are your strengths and what do you like? I'm all for that. But another way of looking at it is what are the problems in the world that like really roast your chestnuts? That you go, how could I fix this? And it might not be something that I don't even notice because whatever. But if it's something that gets your attention, if it's something that you can solve,
Right. Yeah.
well, how can you put that out there?
Ooh, that's amazing. The other thing I think too that people struggle with going from employee to entrepreneur mindset. So for example, what I mean by that is as an employee, I make this much per hour. Right? This is what I make per hour. Everything is per hour. Whereas an entrepreneur is a completely different mindset shift.
Oh, it's a huge one.
And people have struggle with going from the employee mindset of this is how many hours I have to work to make this much money versus this is my program, for example, and this is worth this much money. Take it or leave it kind of thing. Right? I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And I know I struggle with that myself. Right? Oh, it's too much money. Nobody's going to buy the program because it's so much money. And then I'm like, stop. What are you doing? You're thinking like an employee. You're not thinking about like the business owner that you are. That's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah. And that's a really big, scary one because why people think that being an employee is safe and secure, which it totally and completely is not. You have one source of income and that can disappear like that. And we've seen that for our entire lives.
Yeah.
But you know that you're getting paid every 2 weeks or twice a month or whatever. You know what it's coming in and all this stuff. And as long as your butt is in the seat or at the job, you're going to get your money.
Right.
And when you go and you switch over to entrepreneur, we eat what we kill. You got to lock and load like Sarah Connor in the T2 movies. Like you better be ready to and that's a huge one. Like when I was an employee, I was making about $55,000 a year. Nice and steady. My first 2 years in business, I made about $24,000 total. And it wasn't $1,000 a month because that would have made life a whole hell of a lot easier. It's okay. I was able to close this sale. Everything went through. Now I get paid. So I could make $3,500 this month. And it's like, I've got $200 coming to my account next month. And had to go through all of that. It was really quite funny because with our group of friends and stuff, like they went through those challenging, stressful times with me, like I said. And then after the 2-year mark, when I had put my stuff together and my marketing is going and all of this stuff, and I'm making like I haven't made less than $100,000 in over 18 years. And they look at me and they go, "You're so lucky." I'm going, what the hell? Where's this luck coming from?
It's called hard work, people.
It's called hard work and putting all of this stuff together and building a business. But as I have to tell people, The work is in the front end. And you're going to be busting your butt, and you're going to be creating your programs or all of marketing, and you're going to be doing all of this stuff, and it doesn't come in. The money doesn't come in. You have to do this. And then as you get better, you keep asking yourself, what worked, what didn't, what can I do better next time? And you start building it up, and you start building up this reputation because you're the one that's solving the problems, and you're looking after your clients, and now they're coming back to you, and they're sending their friends and family, and then life gets easier. And then the money starts to come. But you have to make it through those tough parts. That's why I say, if I could go back and talk to myself 1 year before I started my business and put like a bunch of different things in place, I would have made $100,000 in 6 months, not 2 years to get to that point.
Right.
And all of the different things, because I'm going, it's always so much easier. And like simple things like I would have put together my personal finances slightly different, because banks say they like small businesses, and they are lying through their teeth.
They do
How
not.
do you know your banker is lying? Their lips are moving. They love employees. Where if I had known, like I said, I was going to pull the trigger, I would have put some things together when I had that nice, regular, steady paycheck that the banks love. That would have made my life a bit easier going on. And then, like you said, I also made my life even more fun because I got fired, I started my business, and then I basically got pregnant. And I don't know how women repeat that process. Pregnancy is horrible. And it doesn't end with anything less than screaming, crying, and an awful lot of bodily fluids. So why people do this? I don't understand. But many people do. All the power to you. Thank you. You are doing your job of keeping the numbers up. It's not me. I had to go through, like I said, a pregnancy and newborn and all of this stuff with all of these challenges. And I'm going, if I could have, like you said, a lot of the building stuff and a lot of my learning curve that I had in the first 2 years, like bump that back when things were easier. Oh my God, my life would have been so much smoother and less painful and less the night sweats of the terror and things going on, because I'm used to doing things. I'm a recovering perfectionist. It's kind of like an alcoholic. You never completely get over it. You always have to be aware. Recovering perfectionist and the different things. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I think a lot of people are afraid of, right? Is that 2 years of, oh my God, what have I done? But they don't necessarily, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, get by that time frame.
There's so many ways that you can make it easier and drastically improve your success rate and stuff, which is, like I said, this is why I focus on the new businesses. Most of your business coaches want you after you've made it through like hell weeks. They want you after, like, you survived. Now you got then you'll have everybody and their dog looking to help you. But you have to have that good, solid foundation to survive those first 2 years. And everybody goes, well, I want to make you into a millionaire. Well, let's turn you into 100-aire first, and then let's go to the 1,000-aire, and then we can look at the millionaire. But if you're trying to go to millionaire right out of the gate, you're just going to be frustrated, and you're going to make huge, expensive mistakes. You're going to be putting time and a boatload of money into things that are not appropriate for you yet. Like, I've come across so many, well, I know I need to market and everything's online, and I saw this great Facebook ads course that I need to take. So I put thousands of dollars into it, and the course was great, but they did not have any of their foundation put together. Okay, so now I need to be working on putting together my proper message. So I took another very expensive course and worked with this coach, but you didn't have the foundation. So they're going, well, I've put $20,000 into like these 4 or 5 different coaches, and I still don't have it. And I'm going, it's because you're trying to climb Mount Everest when you're learning to walk.
Isn't that the truth? Like, honestly, what you just said hits the nail on the head for a lot of people, because you see online, especially, oh, if you take my course, this is going to make you go from this amount of income to this amount of income, like that.
And for the right people, it probably can.
Yes, but as a consumer, I don't know. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, I like your message. You're going to take me from here to here. And there's also courses, which I've done like one or two, but thank goodness they weren't expensive, where they're like, I can help you launch your, coaching career business kind of thing. And you take it and you're like, that didn't give me any information at all other than what I'm already doing.
Yep.
So how did that help me go from here to here?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is part of also, even looking at things like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, even all these people have these little snippets of information. They don't give you the whole story. And then when it doesn't work, as the person who tried it, you're like, but this worked for them, not for me. And you don't understand why.
Yeah. And you think you're a failure and all the different things, or the coach is ripping me off. Well, there are a few, but I find that the biggest thing is because people like they're putting out the market and they're really very good at it. Like it's shiny and they've got that down. And I've come across some, it's like, yeah, your marketing's great, but you actually aren't delivering anything because you need to get your poop together. But they're going, everybody's my client. No, everybody is not your client. And I'm going, if you're not doing some sorting to figure out, okay, are they at the level? It's like, I've done a few marathons. If you see the size of my ass, you're going, oh, how is that possible? I am slow. People say, do you run marathons? No, I waddle my fat, pasty white ass across the finish line. That's as good as it gets, okay? But I have managed to do it a few times.
Good for you.
And I will do one more because unfortunately I wasn't able to finish my last attempt at a marathon was the Marine Corps one when Hurricane Sandy came in.
Oh.
And they shortened the course time because the hurricane was coming in and I didn't beat the bridge. So I got pulled off the bridge. So I wasn't able to finish. And I'm going, I do not quit on a fail, but I haven't been able to get back to do another one. So if I'm looking at training for a marathon, I need somebody who can start at the super, super basic stuff, understand that I'm a fat, middle-aged white woman. I'm not going to be looking at training with like the guys that are training the Kenyans that finished the marathon in 2 hours. It's going to be frustrating. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that coach, but they're used to training elite athlete. I'm not freaking there. And here's the thing. I'm never going to be there. That's fine. That's not my goal. But I need somebody at the running room that, you know what? I work with a lot of fat, pasty white women. I know how to help you.
Yes. And that hits the nail on the head. Figuring out and having somebody like yourself to guide you through that process.
Yes, and it's and it's not complicated. It's not hard. But here's the big thing: it's also not sexy and it's not flashy. It's here's the basics. Here's what you have to do. Here's how we actually break it down, and it's in all of that stuff. And that doesn't sound as shiny when you're seeing the Facebook ads and stuff like that. Let's get you a good, strong, solid business, and then you can learn about the super high powered Facebook ads that are going to take you to the next level. But if you never get past the freaking ground floor, there's no point.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so good. So how do people, if they want to work with you as a business coach, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can always go to my website, which is ksabusiness.ca. And if you want to know ksabusiness.ca, KSA stands for kick some ass. Because as you might have noticed, I'm not gentle. I'm in your, my clients name me the hold your hand and kick your ass business coach. Because I love my clients. I want them to succeed. But I'm also not going to take any bullshit excuses. I'm going to hold your hand because I love you, and I'm going to kick your ass because you need it.
Fantastic. I like that. I think sometimes we need that.
We do. Right? We do need it. We all need it. And I'm just going, if people need like the super gentle and all of this, I'm not your person. I'm going to scare the bejesus out of you. But if you actually want to get shit done,
Yes.
I'm your person.
Now, if somebody's in their full-time job and they're trying to transition from full-time to their side hustle and turn a side hustle into, would you recommend that slow transition?
I'm always a big fan. Like, you don't want to be planning it out 5 years because that's too long and you're not going to get anything done. But I'm going, if we can plan it for a year, that's doable. That's how we get things done. And one of the things, like, I put my stuff together. So I do two things. So I get people, I have a weekend intensive small business class, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, which is perfect for the people that still have the day job. So it's not interfering with their work week. They can do that. And it's all the stuff. It's like we hit you with like the fire hose. And then we follow it up with a year-long group coaching program, all live. So that the time is set in your calendar. You get together and we keep building on your knowledge, but you also get the accountability and the support to keep going through and doing things. Because one of the things that I discovered for me personally, and seen so many other people do it, you go to this great course and the course is amazing. Oh my God, this is wonderful. I learned so much. I cannot wait to get back and start implementing the stuff.
Right.
And then as soon as you get home after the weekend or the week or whatever, the retreat or whatever in the world it was, what happens? The kids are crying. The dog just threw up. The cat wants out. The phone's ringing. The spouse needs this. I've got this project I got to get done at work. And so what happens? You end up with another very good looking binder that sits on your shelf and nothing changes. So I do the small business class to get you launched because everybody has strengths. Everybody has weaknesses, and the most important and deadly stuff they don't even know they need to know about for business. So we get you all with that. And then we spend the year working on it and building on it and making sure you are actually doing stuff. So whether or not you're still in the job and you're looking to transition out, or you've started your business already, or like I said, you got kicked out because you got pink slipped or fired or whatever, okay, let's do this stuff. You cannot jump over the Grand Canyon, but you can take your fat, pasty white ass and start at the rim and walk down and then walk up the other one. That's the way it happens. And that's awesome. The process. I have clients that have been, because I started doing the group coaching 7 years ago.
Yep.
And took me a couple of years to like really get it fine tuned and figure it out. And we're still always improving it. But I have clients that have been through it for 5 years. They keep coming back because they like the accountability. They like continuing growing their knowledge and stuff, because even though the basics are still the same, every year when they come back, they have learned more stuff and they have grown in their business. So they're able to take it in at a different level and keep upping it. And I've had people that they were fired or laid off from their job, couldn't find anything. They decided to start the business, and now they're making way more money than they ever did in their job, and they're loving their life.
Oh, I want that too.
Yes. It's doable.
It's doable. That's awesome, because that helps people understand that absolutely what you're saying. It is doable. If you have an idea or you're not sure or you're trying to connect with Tammy, and I would set you on the record straight.
I am on a mission to help more businesses succeed.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Tammy, for taking the time to speak to us today about business and being a solopreneur. If you want to start a business, I got to go this way. Yeah.
Or if you just started, like up to the 2 years. And I've worked with ones like that have been successfully running their business for 35 plus years. But the ones that really need the help and typically have the hardest time finding it are, like I said, the baby businesses, because
the baby
business coaches even want to touch them.
That's true. Actually, that is very true. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tammy. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching wherever you are in this world. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time on What Has Changed Your Life.